Since 2015, Jared Stillman has rocked Nashville sports.
That team freaking stinks.
And now he's back. The takes are hotter than ever.
I mean, let's be honest, he just can't coach.
Welcome to Stillman and Company.
Stillman and Company of the 440 Sports Network, presented by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. Today, it is game day. The Tennessee Titans tonight strap it up against the San Francisco 49ers backups in the first of 3 preseason games. And Robert Saleh has said the players are going to play. And I've got 7 things that I am keeping a big eye on in tonight's game, and that's what we are going to get to today. One person just said in the YouTube chat, oh my goodness, early morning, Jared. Let me explain what is going to happen today. First of all, I just got done doing 3 hours of Sirius XM right from this very chair. We had a great conversation, sit down with Gino Auriemma earlier today. Talked to Lakers and Jaden Daniels being a little crybaby bitch and all that's good stuff. But I'm like, all right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to do about 35 minutes here today early on. So if you're part of the 2 o'clock audience and you're now just tuning in, you're saying, wait a minute, where Stilly was on earlier today? It's okay, because this is not going to change. This info right here is not going to change about this preseason game and everything else. And then I think at halftime, I think my plan will be, because Nick Suss came on the program yesterday, and Nick Suss said that he thinks the starters are going to play probably 2 series or so. So I don't think it makes much of a difference if it's halftime or the fourth quarter, to talk about how the real players play. So tonight at about halftime, I'll come on and we'll do a reaction, and then we'll kind of keep up with the game as well as to what's going on. We'll do a reaction, talk Titan football, and that will essentially be Friday's show. So this is Thursday's show a little bit earlier. Get you your preview if you're listening to the podcast on your way home, etc. And then we will do Friday's show tonight at about halftime. We'll react to how Cam Ward and everybody else plays. First off, I do want to tell you about our presenting sponsor. That's Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. George in Murfreesboro says, hope Hiller came out and fixed that toilet you clogged. I don't know who clogged it. They're coming today. So I went right there yesterday on my phone, and I did it for today. And so they are coming later this afternoon, and they are always on time, and they are always great. I love Hiller. They take great care of my home. They can do the exact same for you. They've got true transparency pricing, which means before any work gets started, Hiller tells you up front how much it's going to cost. They line item everything. So there is no question. There's no surprise bill. There's nothing. That's right. That is out of the ordinary. And they've got 100% satisfaction. If happy you'll be or the service is free. If a customer does not like the work performed, Hiller will find a way to make it right. That's Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. Proud supporters of the Preds, the Vols, and Vandy. That's Hiller. Call the Happy Face truck today. One person says, I actually get to hear you live for a change. And look, I'm not expecting the views today to be very high, because as soon as they kick the ball off tonight, then the preview of the game kind of goes away. And so I recognize that. But I do want to make sure for the people that drive home on the afternoon, that want to listen to Stillman and Company, like they used to listen to Stillman and Company on the radio, that they can just, listen to Stillman and Company like they normally do and get excited and get previewed up for the game. One person says, my aunt said Hiller was great. Absolutely. Salute to Hiller. A bunch of you have said hit that like button like Belvis has. Agreed. Like and subscribe and comment, whatever. We appreciate it. All right. Let's get to the preseason game tonight, 8 o'clock Central. News 2 if you live in Nashville, NFL Network if you don't live in Nashville. And I have 7 things that I am going to be keeping my eye on tonight as far as the Titans' first preseason game is concerned. Number 1, let's just go numerically, shall we? Number 1, Cam Ward. I mean, is that much of a surprise? Cam Ward is going to go out there. Again, he had 2 really good practices. He had the good scrimmage on Friday, the really good practice, everybody said, on Sunday. And then Tuesday's joint practice against the 49ers. It said, I wasn't there, was not great. Now, it's apparently it wasn't like Cam was terrible or anything like that. Suss was on the show yesterday talking about that. But when it comes to Cam and it comes to Cam and this kind of, we need to see Cam go out there and look like he's taking steps forward. That was my biggest problem during OTAs. When I went out there and I watched Cam miss on a check down and throw it over a running back's head and little shit like that, be behind a guy, in front of a guy, I'm like, I need to see the accuracy improve. I need to see the quarterback play improve. Do I think Cam could go out there tonight and have one of those Superman plays where he runs around and he fires it across his body, across the field under the opposite hash mark, and it hits Io Manor in the hands and he runs down the sideline for a touchdown and everybody goes, oh my God, did you see that? Of course. But I want to see Cam just be in command. I want to see Cam lead a scoring drive. They're going to be playing the 49er backups. So your starters should be better than the 49er backups. And Cam should be better than the 49er backups. So the number one thing is Cam. Number one, don't turn it over. Number two, be accurate with the ball on the throws that we expect you to be accurate. And number three, go lead a touchdown drive to get that confidence, to get everybody kind of on board with, hey, year two Cam's going to be different. Year two Cam is ready. So that's the first thing. I'm going to be watching Cam. Decision-making and accuracy. Those are the things that Bill Belichick said he used to always care about when it came to quarterback play, and I agree. So what do I want to see today? They're going to be playing backup pass rushers, a backup secondary. He's going to have his starting offensive line. He's going to have his starting receivers out there. I want to see decision-making. And I want to see accuracy from Cam Ward. I want to see a touchdown drive, and I want to see him play with command. And I understand there's going to be some loosey-goosey stuff that he does. That's how Brett Favre was. But I need to see Cam play with a sense of command tonight. That's number one. Number two, confidence. What do I mean by confidence? The Titans are going to be playing their starters. Robert Saleh has said everybody who is healthy will play in the preseason game today. That makes me think Jeffrey Simmons will play. So Jeffrey Simmons will play, Cam Ward will play, Carnell Tate will play, Peter Skoronski will play, Dan Moore and J.C. Latham will play, Tony Pollard will play, Io Manor will play, Wan'Dale Robinson will play, Cody Barton will play, Cedric Gray will play. Do I need to go any further? Amani Hooker will play, Cordell Flott will play, and Alante Taylor will play. That if you are an NFL player and you are healthy, you will play for the Titans today. Now, how much will you play? Again, Suss thinks it'll be a couple of series. He says that we should feel safe going on live tonight at halftime to recap the game. And when it comes to your starters versus their backups, your starters should be better than their backups. A starting team in the NFL should always be better than a backup team in the NFL. The 49ers are a team that is incredibly established. They have a bunch of veteran players. Fred Warner doesn't need to play in the preseason. They also have a bunch of injured players. George Kittle is on PUP. Nick Bosa is hurt. Christian McCaffrey is hurt. They don't need those guys to play in the preseason. Brock Purdy has played enough football. He doesn't need to play in the preseason. And his game, you can kind of recreate that in 7-on-7 and 11-on-11. So when San Francisco sends their backups out there, your starters need to be demonstratively better than their backups. And what that will do is that will give everybody confidence. If the offense gets the ball and they go right down the field and they score a touchdown, or the defense gets on the field first and they force a 3 and out, or they intercept Mac Jones, or they whatever, That will give people confidence. The winning and the losing of the game does not matter. Every time we talk about how much does preseason matter, I always hear people say, well, last year the Titans were 3-0 in the preseason and it didn't matter. I don't care. I don't care about what happens, in the final score of the game, because that's going to be Hendon Hooker playing in the fourth quarter. I care about how the guys that are actually going to play this season for the Titans are going to play in the game. That does matter. And so I expect the Titans against the 49ers backups to go out there, and they should dominate because, again, your starters should dominate their backups. And if they do, I think that will give the team confidence. If Cam performs well, I think that will give the team confidence. I think that will give the team confidence in Cam, which I feel like, again, they always say they're super confident in Cam, but it's easy to say you're super confident in Cam. It's hard to actually be super confident in somebody until they do it. Like, I am super confident in Mahomes, and so are you, because we've seen Mahomes do it. For them to really be super confident in Cam, he's got to go out there and do it. So I think tonight gives you a good chance to build some confidence for your football team that, again, desperately needs it because they haven't had success in 5 years. So that's number 2. Number 3, and I was debating between this or Carnell Tate, but I'm going to go with the offensive line. I guess I have kind of put my flag down for the Titans offensive line in saying that I don't think it will be as bad as it has been. And what I mean by that is I don't think it will be as bad as 2022, as 2023, and as 2024. I didn't think 2025's offensive line was that bad. Now, you may go to the raw numbers of sacks given up, and you might say, well, Jared, they still gave up a lot of sacks. Sure. But that's because they were losing in games. And when you're losing in games, you're in throwing situations, which means pass rushers are on the field. And they had a young quarterback who wants to hold on to the ball and wants to make a play. That's going to lead to an elevated sack number. I did not feel like the offensive line was the way it was 2 years ago when the quarterback would say hike and all of a sudden the right tackle had given up a sack. So when it comes to the offensive line, I have said, I expect the offensive line to be okay this year. And that is with a concern about the center and right guard position. And I've told you I don't think J.C. Latham's very good, so give me a concern at right tackle too. I know what the left tackle is. He's not that good, but he's also not that bad. And the left guard's good. I expect the line to be fine. But I don't know that. And so when Kaharski comes out and he says that in the joint practices, guys like Sam Akawanu, who used to be a Titans practice squad player, are out there going up against your starters and having success, that is concerning. That is very concerning to me. And so, again, I have planted my flag as far as the offensive line is concerned. I don't think they're going to be that bad this year. I think the team will be bad. I don't think the offensive line is going to be that bad this year. I don't think the offensive line was that bad last year. I don't think it was good, but I don't think it was that bad. But I also don't know that. A lot of times when it comes to faith or belief or takes, it's like people have this take where they cross their arms and they say, like I'm dealing with all the Cam boys out there now of Cam is Mahomes, Jared. Cam is Brett Favre, Jared. Cam is a franchise quarterback, Jared. And you don't know that. You hope, but you don't know that. Just like I think Cam's going to be a bust, but I don't know that. I think the offensive line is going to be fine this year. But I don't know that. And I know a lot of you have offensive line PTSD from the last 5 seasons or so. So I get that. And the things that the Titans will say about why they believe in their offensive line ring hollow for all of us. Robert Saleh went to the owners' meetings this spring and was talking about the offensive line play and said, well, Carmen Brasillo, the offensive line coach, he is better. He's one of the best in the business. So we've got the line guy. And I'm like, no, don't tell us that because we remember Bill Callahan. So the idea that the offensive line coach is going to save everybody, maybe not so much. So that's number 3 on the list of things I'm looking for tonight. I want to see the offensive line hold up. I want to see pockets for Cam Ward to throw the football. I want to see running lanes. I don't care about the third team. Again, when I talk about what I'm looking for, I'm not looking for 4 quarters of offensive line play. I am talking about the starters as far as the offensive line is concerned. The 4th thing I'm looking for, and I actually said it was between Carnell Tate and the O-line. I actually lied. The 4th thing I'm looking at, the starting secondary. So this is where, when I talk about the 49er backups, I am a little nervous about the secondary. I didn't know who Cordell Flott was before the Titans signed him. I'm not going to pretend like that I'm watching tape of every team out there. I have a pretty good idea of most of the league, but I had never heard of Cordell Flott. So when the Titans signed him and gave him all that money, I was like, what? And I also don't think corners really matter. I don't think you can have Jared Stillman at corner, but I don't think it really matters unless you have Patrick Surtain. I don't think it really matters in today's game about how good your corners are, because I think if you have a good pass rush and the quarterback doesn't have time to throw the ball, or the quarterback can't keep his eyes down the field because he's worried of the pass rush, then he's not going to be as good of a quarterback, and your corners are going to look great. And if the quarterback can just stand there in the pocket and pat the football, I don't care if you've got Deion Sanders and Champ Bailey out there. I don't think it makes that much of a difference, because the quarterback can just stand there in the pocket, wait for the guy to get open. He knows where the guy's going. The guy knows where he's going, and then just deliver the football. So I've always thought that a good pass rush can make an average secondary good, and that a bad pass rush can make a good secondary bad. I've just always thought that. But man, after what Suss was saying about the secondary in practice the other day, I am concerned. And not only am I concerned, I'm a little concerned going into tonight, because even though these are the 49er backups and you're playing your starters, Mac Jones, I believe, is one of the 32 best quarterbacks in the NFL. And he's going to start at quarterback for the 49ers, I do believe. And then when it comes to receiver, Deshaun Stribling was a very controversial pick. The 49er beat people, say he's just out there lighting it up. That's an NFL caliber receiver. And everybody said that Demarcus Robinson was having a day on Tuesday in practice, again, with your starters. So while I think the pass rush is always infinitely more important than the secondary, if the secondary is no good, then I don't know where the Titans go from here after the money and the resources they have spent in this secondary. So that's the 4th thing, and that's one spot ahead of Carnell Tate, who is number 5 on the list. I am fascinated by how Carnell Tate will look in a game-like setting. I have said there are very few players. Somebody put into the chat earlier today that Jared, you said that if they drafted Carnell Tate, you were out. You're right. I did say that. And I went nuts when they drafted Tate. But I also am capable of admitting that I'm wrong. And when I went to OTAs and I watched Carnell Tate and I saw the ease with which his hands catch the football, and I saw the movements and I saw everything else, I just looked at it and I told the Titans, I said, hey, he's a good player. And Carnell Tate put on a show the other day. And everybody was making a big deal about that. And I think you're entitled to make a big deal about Carnell Tate putting on a show the other day, because I think Carnell Tate, right now, from what I've seen, I think he is all that in a bag of chips. Well, I'd like to see Carnell Tate go out there and make a couple of those plays today. Now, it's a little different when you're a receiver. You can be open and the quarterback not throw you the ball, or the quarterback gets sacked on the play, but the one Titan player that I look back on and I didn't want the Titans to draft, and immediately I saw it right away, was Chris Johnson. I didn't want the Titans to draft Chris Johnson in 2008. They had Lindale White as their running back. They had drafted Chris Henry in the 2nd round of 2007. And I had never heard of Chris Johnson outside of the fast 40 time that he had ran at the combine. So when they drafted Chris Johnson, I was like, why? They don't need another running back. Well, the first handoff that Chris Johnson took in an NFL game in the preseason against the Rams, he went 66 yards right up the middle for a touchdown. And I saw that, and I was like, this dude can bowl. I saw that. I was like, okay, this guy's pretty good. Because when somebody is special like that, you could see it right away. I'd like to see that from Carnell Tate. Though I feel like I've seen that on the practice field, I'd like to see that tonight in the game. Not a demand, just something I'd like to see. That's why he's number 5. Number 6. You guys are going to hate this. I want to see Mac Jones tonight. Do we know if Mac Jones is playing? I would be stunned if they didn't play Mac Jones just because he is a backup quarterback. And when you are a backup quarterback, it's, kind of like, when you're a backup quarterback, it's like this is the only opportunity you're going to have to play quarterback anyway. And I am a believer in Mac Jones. Now, I don't believe in Mac Jones as much as I believed in Sam Darnold, though I never thought Sam Darnold was going to win the Super Bowl as much as I was pumping Sam Darnold's tires. But I am a believer in Mac Jones. I was actually talking about this on Sirius earlier today. Kyler Murray is going to be the starter in Minnesota. That's not really a surprise. And I said, look, I understand the need to want to bag up all these former high draft pick starting quarterbacks. And because Sam Darnold won a Super Bowl, we then say, well, now everybody can do that. Or now everybody's going to be the next Sam Darnold, the next Daniel Jones, the next Ryan Tannehill. And you can go all the way back to Drew Brees as far as, hey, second chance, this guy becomes a star. And I just don't think Kyler Murray or Tua in Atlanta were ever good enough in their first stop to make me think they'll be that much better in their second stop. I don't think Kyler's very good. I don't think Tua's very good. With Mac Jones, I have said for years, this is the guy I want to see get a second chance. Mac Jones, as a rookie, won 10 games with the Patriots with Josh McDaniels as his offensive coordinator. Josh McDaniels takes the head coaching job of the Raiders, and Bill Belichick, who was already starting to lose it, but was really in this disastrous cycle when his ex Tom Brady won the Super Bowl without him in Tampa Bay, was on a mission to prove that he was smarter than everybody else. So what did he do? He takes his buddies and he makes Matt Patricia the offensive coordinator, a guy who had never coached offense before and hasn't coached offense since. And they stuck Mac Jones out in the middle of that mess. It's almost like when we hear stories about divorced families and about the husband and wife putting the children in the middle of their drama. It's almost like Belichick, I feel, put Mac Jones in the middle of his Tom Brady drama. Mac Jones was a bust. Mac Jones sucked. Belichick sucked. Mac Jones goes to Jacksonville. Plays a couple games in place of Trevor Lawrence. Wins a couple games in place of Trevor Lawrence. I thought Mac Jones was fine when he went out there against the Titans as the starting quarterback against the Jags. I always kind of believed in Mac Jones. So that's the guy I'd give a second chance to. Now, I wouldn't give him a $40 million contract, but I'd give him an $8 million contract. Supposedly, from what I was told, the Titans had no interest last year in Mac Jones at all. That Mac Jones had a lot of interest in the Titans. And Mac Jones wanted to be a Titan, and Mike Borgonzi had zero interest in Mac Jones. I think if I was a quarterback, or excuse me, if I was a coach, and I was thinking about quarterbacks for next year, or if my quarterback went down this year, and Mac Jones would be a guy I'd give a second chance to, and I think I could win some games with. Again, I wouldn't go all in, but I think he could be that guy. If I was the Steelers, I wouldn't have brought Aaron Rodgers back. I would have made a trade for Mac Jones. If I was Minnesota, I would have tried to trade for Mac Jones. I think he could be that guy. I want to see Mac Jones tonight. And so he's on my list. I've said, And you can say whatever you want about Cam, and they can say whatever they want about Cam. The truth is, if Cam sucks this year, which we don't know if he will or if he won't, if Cam sucks this year, the Titans will be doing what Minnesota is doing this year, next year. The Titans will be doing what Atlanta is doing this year, next year. The Titans will be doing what Indianapolis did. Go out and get a Daniel Jones and say there's going to be a competition, and then put the other guy in because the other guy gives you a better chance to win and everybody knows it. So that's why I want to keep my eye on Mac Jones. So he's number 6. The kicker is number 7. Joey Sly was perfect in the practice the other day. Joey Sly has stunk in training camp, and he was not good in the scrimmage. And if I was an NFL general manager or if I was an NFL coach, I'm not sure I'd want to put everything that I had into Joey Sly. And if you're going to win with a young team, you're going to win close games. And if you're going to win close games, you're going to be kicking field goals. And so if you're going to be kicking field goals with Joey Sly, he better make them. So he'll be the kicker today. And I want to make sure that he makes those kicks. And if he doesn't, see ya. If Joey Sly's missing kicks today, see ya. He's out of there. And then finally, the last thing I'm looking forward to, no injuries. Did you guys hear that? No injuries. The last thing any of us want to see is a big injury to a big-time player, and that's the risk when you play preseason games in the NFL, that you may lose a player to injury the way Michael Vick got hurt in the preseason with the Falcons and broke his leg, and it was a lost season. It's possible. And so I hope that doesn't happen. So tonight, I'm looking forward to Cam. I'm looking forward to the team building confidence, the offensive line, the secondary, Carnell Tate, Mac Jones, the kicker, and injuries. All right, let's get to your reaction here on today's program. For people out there that want to say, Justin says, LFG, gents, we made it. Yes, we did. Although the last 2 years, the Titans have started 0-3, and the third game at home was kind of one of those crap-ass games. You know, they got smoked by Malik Willis in Green Bay 2 years ago. They got beat by the Colts where Cam threw a pick 6 at the beginning of the game. That week 3 game was kind of the official moment where everybody knew this team sucks. I don't want a meaningless October and November again. It's bad enough when you suck in December, but I want a meaningful October and November. That's all I'm asking for this year. Just keep it entertaining. So, yeah, we made it, but it's not like we made it from the last game of last year against the Jags. I mean, we made it from the beginning of last year when we knew that this team sucked. One person says, listening while walking the beach in Podside, Panama. Thank you. Love Panama over here. Alex says, Carnell Tate, good game tonight. Your guess is as good as mine. The guy getting him the ball has to get it to him, and the guy's protecting the guy getting the ball to him. They have to protect him. He has to be upright. But I really would like to see a big game, like a big play from Carnell Tate, just to show you the hands and the route running ability, and he is smooth. Now, I hope Carnell Tate doesn't have something like 5 catches and 2 series for 100 yards, because then as soon as you play the Jets in week 1, they're going to double team him. But I'd like to see a play tonight from Carnell Tate that gets me excited and gets all of us excited. One person says, if Cam goes out there and plays well, will you downplay his progression because it's against backups? I don't think so. I mean, again, I'm looking for accuracy and decision-making. So if Cam can be accurate, that really is independent of the defense he plays. And if he can make good decisions, which would be independent of the defense he plays, then I would feel pretty good about it. I mean, if Cam scores touchdowns like they did against the Arizona Cardinals last year, where he throws an interception, the guy gets up, fumbles the ball, it fumbles into the end zone, and they fall on it for a touchdown, then maybe that's a little different. But I think if Cam plays with command, I think I'll feel good about it. One person says, you have to build chemistry, Jared. New players and coaching staff. Stop acting stupid. See, right there, that is the excuse for if you don't play well against backups, say, well, they're building chemistry. Practice makes perfect. Again, remember, what Vince Lombardi said was practice doesn't make perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect. That's what I want. One person says, bet Carmona starts week 1. Volson is horrid. I don't think Volson's horrid. I think Volson is a replacement level player. But I don't know what they're doing with the right guard spot. Personally, I would make it Volson because he's a veteran and he's healthy, and his biggest concern is injury, and he's a replacement level player. I feel like if they put Carmona in there, that's going to be well, this is the guy that we drafted and we want to play and we want, and it's like, okay, but do you want to get Cam killed because you wanted to show that you drafted a right guard in the 5th round? I think it'll be Volson. But the tie will go to the young guy, which is a very common theme in the NFL. One person says, Jared has a right to feel like Cam is a bust. It's on Cam to prove that he's a franchise quarterback. Agreed. One person says, Brian Dable will make Cam better this year for sure. The question remains, how much? You know, again, I love talking coaches, and everybody loves talking about firing coaches and everything else. The players usually make the coach more so than the coach makes the players. Just go look at Minnesota. Again, everybody thought Kevin O'Connell was the reason they won 14 games last year. And then Sam Darnold went to Seattle and they didn't make the playoffs. And now he's coaching for his job with Kyler Murray as his quarterback. And I think there are going to be some people out there that are going to say, well, he did it with Sam Darnold. He's going to do it with Kyler. And I'm just here to tell you that I don't think that Kyler's as good as Sam Darnold. And so that's why, again, I think you overrate the coach in that situation. But make of that what you will. One person said, why is this guy so negative? First time here? By the way, you're 6-28 over the last 2 years. Robert Saleh is 20-36 as a head coach. Cam Ward had the lowest QBR in the NFL last year. It's not as if we're sitting here talking about a team that made it to the AFC Championship game last year. You know, when the Titans fired their general manager less than a year removed from a contract extension and being the number 1 seed in the AFC, I thought that was Looney Tunes because they were winning. So now when I crap on them, you're like, well, why are you crapping on them? Because they're losing. One person says, Mac Jones, 25-33, baller alert. By the way, Mac Jones last year, and this is why, again, I would sign him to a 1-year, $8 million contract, or I'd give him a shot. I would not give him a $40 million a year contract. I would not give him 3 guaranteed years. But if I was the Steelers, and it's like, do we run it back with Aaron Rodgers for another year? Do we go with Mac Jones? I'd go with Mac Jones. The reason why Mac Jones' record is so shitty is because when Bill Belichick was completely falling apart, whether it was dementia or lack of, relevant coaching staff, or whether it was he was spending too much time with his sugar baby, whatever it may have been, I believe Mac Jones was a product of Bill Belichick's incompetence at the end. That's just my opinion. I'd like to see Mac Jones get another shot. I think Mac Jones has real talent. I mean, I absolutely think that he's got the ability. I mean, I think he's as good, maybe as tick below Brock Purdy. I think Brock Purdy's a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. So that's going to do it for us today with our little preview of tonight's preseason debut against the 49ers. I will be back live at halftime. So subscribe and turn your notifications on because we are going to go live at halftime after the starters play tonight against the 49ers. Enjoy the game. Thank you to Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical, Stillman & Company. See you all later tonight.